Hello and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason with religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
That's me. Happy Friday, everyone. If you guys are ready, we do have a guest for tonight. We have some news stuff for tonight, and I'm glad everybody's here. It looks like our regular happy group is here, and I'm excited about that. And this whole topic has been just like, ugh, from the beginning. So it was important for me to find everything I could read about it and everything I could watch about it, even if it disagreed with where I am on it. I found that it was at least more information, whether I was going to use it or not. And I feel like I'm prepared to present the Trump's Patriotic Education for you guys. I know it's really hard to even get that out. It sounds like I want to say Trump's Patriotic Re-Education Camps is what I want to say. But there won't be any camps as far as I know. And yeah, I stick with the re-education part though.
Well, before our special guest Ben gets here to really dive into that with us, maybe you and I can talk about what we think about the hysteria, which is kind of legitimate, of Donald Trump not wanting to step down if he loses the election, right?
Oh God, yes.
What do you think about that? Because at first, I don't know, I went back and forth on it for a while because this isn't the first time that it's been brought up. This week, people are really getting hysterical about it.
Yes, they are.
But I don't think it's without cause, right?
No, it's not without cause. My opinion on it is Trump has brought up many things while on stage, and many of them he hasn't followed through with, just at all. You know, he's going to sign something that all federal buildings have to be a certain built a certain way, a certain aesthetic, and he was going to sign that into executive law. He's done many of those and then never follows up with it. So I kind of feel like there is some Trump boasting. He doesn't want to admit in front of people that he would, and that gives the sycophants hope that he won't, and also keeps them in his, he needs to have that. I do still have faith in our institutions as far as the military serves whoever is president. And I feel like if the election does happen and it's not Trump that wins, that not that he'll go silently, he's never going to do that, but he's also not going to make a scene and have to be taken out in handcuffs. And I don't think they would handcuff leaving president anyway.
That's what people really thought, though, for a while.
You know what? It is a possibility. I could be wrong about that. I really could be wrong about that. And he maybe could. There's always that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel, I guess maybe I just, because it's never happened, and maybe I'm wrong. I would hate to be wrong about that. But he does bluster a lot and say things out of aggravation or not a question he likes, So he doesn't want to give them an answer. He'd rather them not be satisfied with the answer he gave or be scared about it. And he won. Yeah, it sucks. The whole thing sucks.
The whole thing really does suck. And he did win. There's so much we didn't see with this president, but now at this point he's such an excuse me, he's such a loose cannon.
Right.
But yeah, it's no matter what happens, you can kind of say now, this is yeah, I saw it coming, because it really is a 50-50 on.
Right. I do think hindsight 2020, when historians write about this time, it will be in hindsight. They'll be able to say, well, this was his life building up. He had all of these bankruptcies, but he's a good businessman. He's the, best negotiator there is, but here's where he failed negotiating his entire presidency, and on and on and on. So in hindsight, of course, there is more clarity, vision's better. But going through it it does cause a knot in my stomach. I don't know about yours. It does cause a knot. And I think being hysterical about him refusing to give an answer like that, which why would he? If we know anything about Trump and the way that he's acted and his answers he's given and claims that he's just blurted out, he never gives backup to the claims or citations. He never, many of the proposed policies that he mentions that he's going to do, he never follows through with. So let's just hope that that was blustering Trump. I mean, we have to go through it.
We do have to go through it. So I don't know. I guess I kind of want to know, how much stock do you put into those claims right now? You personally, personal view.
My personal view,
How
because
legit?
I'm a hopeful humanist, I think big time, is that I think that it is his ego speaking, and that he would never admit to failure, even if he failed. He has. Everybody has. He's never apologized except for that one time when he apologized for that. When he talks about grabbing girls by the hoo-ha. I'll just say that word.
You didn't say hoo-ha. Okay.
No, he didn't. He said something else.
Right. And I like to add on now, because I listen to Kyle Kalinske. I don't even wait. Right? He just.
Right. No, he doesn't even wait. And when you're a star, you can do that. The entitlement is disgusting. But that entitlement has carried him through. And so my personal opinion would be that it was Trump bluster. And I do not think that he would want the last view of him would be to be on TV getting removed from the White House. And since I do have a strong, I do have very strong embedded hope for the future. And maybe it's delusional. Maybe it's because it's all we have. So I'm just going to hold on to it. But I do think that there's personal actions that we can do and to be a part of it, to help it. But as far as this one, there's nothing that we could really do except for talk about it and put it out there that, this is how we feel and this is what we want. And this is what we don't want to see. And I don't want to see him get removed. It would just set a different precedence. It would be laughed at from here to kingdom come, which, I mean, I'll be laughing at him more like a nervous laughter, because it's going to cause a hysteria among his base. His base is going to be very upset if he doesn't win. And that's understandable, but it's more than that. With sycophants, it's going to be more than that. It's emotional. Facts are not required.
I'm reading the chat. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat tonight.
Yes, we have Randolph Richardson.
Yeah.
Sadly, I fear that Donald Trump will win the upcoming election because Paula White has been campaigning hard for him at churches all across America.
And is any of that on YouTube? Because I would love to see some of that. So let me know, Randolph.
Yes. Yeah, and definitely send me personal links or private message links so I can watch them too. Yeah.
Yeah, or put it on the LEAH
Discord
Facebook page
and the Discord. Yeah, both.
Yeah,
get involved. Definitely.
Do that. We have over 1,000 members on our Facebook page now. Did you know that?
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, we just broke 1,000 members like last week. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, that's big time. You should definitely mention that.
Yeah,
that's impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Just had to eat my first actual meal of the day.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah, I occupy myself with other stuff and forget to eat sometimes. So.
Yes, everybody, this is our extraordinary atheist humanism guest, BMillzeBub, which is fun to say.
Hello,
and
everybody.
difficult to spell. But I saved it in my phone. So I type BM and the rest comes out.
Yeah.
I'm a cheater. Cheater.
That's all right.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
If you ain't
Can't be
cheating, you ain't
perfect at
trying.
everything. Okay, so what we've been talking about, maybe we can get your opinion on it too, is what is your personal opinion about Trump saying that he refuses to answer the question of whether he would leave the White House or not if someone else is elected?
I think he's a bloviating gas bag. I mean, he's all promise and bluster, but he's got no substance. I don't know how many people in the audience are familiar with this particular insult, but he's an empty shirt.
Yeah, I agree. I
You know.
agree. That panders to the upside down Bible. I mean Christianity.
Yeah, and I mean, I
Well,
agree with you, Christy. I don't think he's gonna want his last really public vision to be him being dragged off the cuffs.
No,
I
it's
think,
all about optics.
yeah,
Yeah.
optics and ratings. That's it.
And ratings, of course.
Yeah, can't
Oh.
forget the ratings.
No, you know that whole escalator video of him as the nominee coming down that escalator, it's just like embedded in our brains forever. They used lighting that they would use for a reality TV show, like the one The Apprentice that he was on. Big, huge entrances and for ratings. That was the reason. That's why he wanted that, was for ratings. I just think but from the get-go, it wasn't about the American people. And just today, I was reading an article about Ilhan Omar and Trump going hard on her and her, snapping back, clapping back at him. He told a group of adoring fans that she's telling us how to run our country. She needs to go back to her country and fix it there. And I'm just like, she is a goddamn citizen, a member of Congress. Wow, just blatant disrespect. Us and them. So he's not a president for America. He's a president for his people only.
And I don't think he's ever actually been anything but honest about that. Ironically, he doesn't.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. He's never ever put it out there that he would be a president for all of us. Maybe that first speech he tried to, but he never quite got there in his inauguration. I never heard Trump say what all brand new presidents say. The election's over. I'm a president for everyone. It's time to bring everyone together, left, right, middle, which we know here. There's a right, center right, and a little bit of center left as far as mainstream politics goes. That's it. And he never said that at all. That should have been our first clue. Besides all the other lies.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were thousands in just the primary in general.
Yeah.
It's
well, you guys are gonna love what I put together for our main topic. I actually got a list of what makes a fascist from doing my best to educate myself about fascism in all of its forms and also historically. But what is the things that all of them had? So because fascism can come in all different ways, just like our form of government, our right wing here, they all have their own ideas, but they can still fall into a little bit fascist. And reading through them, I can't wait to get to that part. You guys are going to be nodding your head going, oh, wow. Yes. So Mac, I know, has a couple topics we want to get to first. Some little bit of news, some information.
Yeah. Well,
Take it
first
away,
off, as far as the nodding goes, like I've already loosened my bolts. I'm like ready to bobblehead.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have anything pressing. Like if we just want to get into this, it's cool because I mean, we know what's going on with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I mean she's dead. We know that. I didn't mean that. It's the part where Mitch McConnell, I want to call him Senator Kelly because he reminds me of the kind of racist senator on X-Men. Can't remember.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too. I can't remember the name.
Damn it!
Yes,
He's the one from like fucking Georgia, or whatever. Damn it!
You'll think of it though. I know you will.
It's that main one.
Yeah.
Shoot, it's the other one you think of, like right after McConnell.
The live stream will end, and you're just gonna be like, "That's die! That's the
Of
one!"
course.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham.
There you go. Yes. Oh gosh. Lindsey Graham.
They are 100% hypocritical, and they don't care. Like they've made it very clear. We don't care. We want to sack the courts full of Republicans. We want that 6-3 advantage.
They do.
And that's all there is. Last I heard from Rising this afternoon, it sounds like Mitch McConnell has all the support he needs. Everyone's falling in line to pass the nominee that hasn't even been nominated yet.
Yes, I saw the name now. So I'm gonna do my best over the next couple days to find out everything I can about this.
Right. What's her name? I forget now.
I can't remember her name, but I read that a quote from her is that she wants to abolish the separation of church and state and establish a kingdom of God in the U.S.
And abortion. She wants Roe v. Wade out.
Literally, everyone should be panicking about that. Like, it doesn't matter how Christian you are. Like, you can be the wonkiest, furthest right Christian, and you should be panicking because it's probably not going to be your brand of Christianity that's in charge. It's going to be some other one, and you're going to have a boot on your neck, and you're going to have no one to blame but yourself.
I agree. Her name is Amy Coney Barrett.
Coney Barrett. Yep. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I'm sure we'll have more on that.
Yeah, we'll have to come back with more information.
Yeah, next week, and then after that, I think we're really going to start focusing on the election for the next few weeks. For the most part, might take a break here or there, but that's what I'm mostly going to be on. Is what both sides are doing behind the curtain to really fuck with the election, because we are definitely seeing. We're not necessarily seeing election fraud, but we're seeing both sides like
stir up a frenzy
to make it look fraudulent.
Yes.
If there isn't fraud. And I mean, we already have a bullshit voting system, right? Like ranked choice voting would be nice. There's so many states that still have you have to pick a Republican or a Democratic ballot.
Right.
It's
my daughter Isabel's best friend Kelsey, who I call my other daughter, she lives in Texas, and Isabel went to visit her. She just came back this week. She was there for 2 weeks, and she came back and she says, Kelsey can't vote by mail. In Texas, you have to not just request a mail ballot, but you have to give real doctor's notes as to why you cannot vote in person. It has to be medical or mental, like it has to be documented. And then it has to go through a process to be accepted as legitimate reason to not be able to show up to vote. I just cannot wrap my mind around that.
You can't say there's a pandemic going on and I don't want my lung function to be screwed for life.
Nope, you have to have a pre-existing condition and a doctor's note. Right. Which, I mean, there's HIPAA laws. I don't have to tell you anything about my medical history, actually.
Ooh, hippo laws? I love hippos.
Hippos!
But they are laws.
One of Stacy's favorite animals. She loves the hippos. It's ridiculous. No, she does. Well, when we go to Busch Gardens, there's this really big hippo that has this amazing like sanctuary just for, her and her baby. And she's just so beautiful. They can swim, they can lay in anything they want there. It's really, really big and really deep water. So, and shallow water. She has everything. And she'll come to the window where Stacy is and they'll just stare at each other. Okay. Things just got weird. Do you need me to stay or go keep a lookout? Like, what's going on here? Oh, yeah, I feel a little jealous and left out.
Right?
Okay, I want to read something and then we can discuss it. At the White House Conference on American History, Trump took an aim at the 1619 Project, a series of essays in the New York Times re-examining America's legacy of slavery, which has become a common foil for right-wing politicians, calling it ideological poison that will dissolve the civic bonds of America. Trump also called out what he said is left-wing indoctrination in schools and curriculum, which he claimed views every issue through the lens of race in an effort to impose tyranny and a new segregation. Who wants to go first? I know Matt just shakes his head. It's so.
I mean, yeah, no, it's absolutely right. Learning about screw ups we've done and making sure we don't learn from that is totally tyranny. I agree. We should not learn new things.
Yeah. We should
Learning is bad.
Nuclear families only. 3.2 kids.
Look, I don't know if learning new things is bad, but I know it's really scary.
Yeah. Don't ask questions also. Just accept authoritarian, information, of course.
Oh yeah.
Right. The next.
Hold on. This reminds me of something. I know you two have watched it. Absolutely know it. There's a video of Richard Dawkins interviewing, all I can say is that blonde woman from Concerned Women of America. Do you remember this video?
Maybe.
It's like an hour and a half long, and he's
it gets real contentious.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the most dumpster fire thing Richard Dawkins had ever done. And then they go up, he's like, all right, where should we go? And she's like, how about here? And they walk like 3 feet and just stand there for the next hour and a half and just like banter back and forth. I'm like, whoa. But it reminds me like what she's arguing for because they keep going back and forth on evolution and how she thinks it's like what she thinks it is, and
straw man.
It's just a theory, right? Yeah, like she uses like it's just a theory, but not really knowing what that means, right. And how there are. He says, "Go look at the fossils," and she's like, "I've looked at the fossils. All there are lines on paper, and there are models of these fossils." Like, no, they're molds. They're molds of the actual fossil. They don't have the same fossil in every museum.
Hello.
Right. There's that part, but then also the part that I wanted to mention is they say that they're for teaching the conflict, and when she clarified teaching the conflict or whatever, is just all she wants them to push like during like science class is all of like what's that called, the pit whatever man, but I forget what it's called. Tilt down man. And just all which was a hoax, and just throw whatever shit at the wall that makes the theory like look bad, but actually doesn't disprove it, and not show any of the work where that work's been disproven. Just all the shit at the wall. Throw that in during science class, but that's the conflict that they want taught with the science. And like, even if you don't just teach like what we know about phylogeny and all that, you can just teach the scientific method, right? And that would be, would be.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And history should be the same. What we can show to be true.
I feel like this is one of those things that we're going to be inching closer to, is this conversation is what they want our school systems to be. And it's just such a shit show. when you get to the topic of science, it's such a shit show. But actually, I think I'll put that link down below while I continue to let you guys carry on.
Okay.
So, sorry.
All
go
right.
on.
Trump instead proposed Patriotic Education, applauding a grant awarded by the National Endowment for Humanities to develop, in his word, a pro-American curriculum that celebrates the truth about our nation's great history. Trump also announced that he will sign an executive order establishing a commission to promote patriotic education, which will be called the 1976 Commission, in contrast with the 1619 Project. At the conference, Trump, who has often been accused of disregarding the Constitution, I second that, claimed the left is attempting to demolish the Constitution and condemn them for a vicious and violent assault on law enforcement, which he called the universal symbol of rule and law. Trump's executive order was met with a fierce backlash from commentators who recognized it as authoritarian. At least, New York Times opinion columnist Farhad Manjoo, I hope I pronounced that correct. It's M-A-N like man and then J-O-O, Jew, Manjoo. I'm gonna go with Manjoo. He tweeted, and I quote, Kim Jong-un wasn't writing him love letters, it was an instructional manual. Which is quite funny because this is right out of North Korea. Like, we're gonna teach you what the history is. We're gonna tell you what it is in our opinion. And that's going to be fact. Or what we want it to be. I don't know. Do you guys think that, I mean, I already know the answer, but as a critical thinker, as somebody who is skeptical, who questions these authority lines of fact and looks into it and finds out what is actually there, I don't think truth, facts about history can be left or right, ideological. I just don't. They just are. And I think it's important that we learn those things and that our children's children have the opportunity to learn factual history, not history that makes you feel a certain way. I just really bothers me.
No, I agree. It needs to be taught with some like nuance, right? It needs to be in like more of an open conversation. Like, people need to be able to ask questions about history, about everything, right?
Right.
Asking questions is how you learn. Otherwise, you're just memorizing in this doctrine.
Exactly what education has come to. I agree. I want to. There's just a couple more on this like little thing I wanted to bring. Quote: the narratives about America being pushed by the far left and being chanted in the streets bear a striking resemblance to the anti-American propaganda of our adversaries, Trump said, alleging both groups want to see America weakened, derided, and totally diminished. An important note that President Trump gears up to attack the 1619 Project is a national treasure who put into context how America came into being, the Black enslaved people exploited, and the way forward, which I think that there is a bit of ideology in that project. I've read it, and I felt that there are many things that are important and factual that are in it, but they are viewed through an ideological lens, and I don't want that in education. As a leftist, I don't want that in education. I want children to know what happened, and that's it. Like, I don't want any ideas pushed on them. They're already getting that from their family. They should not get that from education. Trump also said, quote, our youth will be taught to love America with all of their heart and all of their souls. The White House declined to say when Trump would sign the executive order. Of course he did. Why would he agree to sign anything? That's not him. And before I go into it's 15, or is it 14? Yeah, it's just 14 things that all fascist administrations, we'll use a nice word, all have in common, no matter what part of the world, no matter what era they come from, they're the same. So do you want to say anything before we go through this list and kind of just go, oh God, because that's what's going to happen. No, you just keep putting those.
Bad feelings.
Yeah.
Like I had really bad feelings as soon as I saw the headline. I'm like, oh God, patriotic education. This is just going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's right when you sent it to me, right? And said, oh God.
Yeah. And I get to the part where it's like our children will be taught to love America with all their heart and soul. And I'm like, oh, fuck, he left right off the deep end with that.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea is completely antithetical to the idea of education. There's a difference between what education is supposed to do, which is teach you how to think, versus what this is trying to do, which is teach you what to think.
Yes. Ting, 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 ting. You just won. Yeah, everything. Education should be how to think critically, how to look at information and be able to confirm it to make sure it's true, and to understand it enough to explain it to someone else. That's when you know you've learned something. Memorizing it doesn't help kids learn anything. It just maybe there's a couple kids in the class that do really well with that. I'm sure there are. There were in my classes, and we were in the 90s. I was class of 95, so in those first 5 years of the 90s, all we did was memorize. That's all we did. And I remember memorizing in 4th grade as a little tiny little jitterbug, and asking questions about it, and I'll never forget his name because he was such an asshat teacher, Mr. Gonzalez. He had white hair, he was in his 40s, and he just loathed me because I had lots of questions. Well, how do you know? It says that here, but I loved books. I loved reading, especially books that were geared towards children about history. I loved them because not only could you see the monument, you could read about all the things, and then there were sources in them. This is where we got it from, and I could write those down and go look at them, especially in a library, and then asking questions because it didn't quite fit would just really, really piss him off. I had sat on the hallway for asking questions. Bad experience. We were told just you're supposed to read here to here, and you're supposed to answer those questions and then close your book. And I'm like, but I have questions about the questions. Maybe at a point I did start being a smartass because he was so hard. I will admit that. And I did go out of my way to ask him questions because it would piss him off. But it didn't start off like that. I mean, I was in 4th grade. Come on. But he pushed my buttons, as I'm sure I pushed his. Okay. Number 1. Now remember, this is what all fascist leaders, no matter time, no matter place, no matter what era, I guess that would be time too. Yeah, okay, doubled. Number 1, the cult of tradition. One has only to look at the syllabus of every fascist movement to find the major traditional thinkers. The Nazi Gnosis was nourished by traditionalist occult elements. The make America great again. Let's go back to traditional America, traditional this, traditional that. So we have to check that one off. I mean, his slogan alone, the thing he ran on. The rejection of modernism. And then there is the Enlightenment, Age of Reason, is seen as the beginning of modern depravity, in the sense your fascism can be defined as irrationalism. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree with of course, it's found in every fascist, the rejection of modernism. These people are trying to change America. These people want to demolish the police. These people want to riot and beat up cops. It's just us against them, and a rejection of modernism. So that's number 2. Number 3, the cult of action for action's sake. I'm going to write an executive order for this, an executive order for that. You know, just, and Trump doesn't even follow through with most of those. I'd say for every 10 verbiage, 10 total of him verbally saying, I'm going to write an executive order, maybe 3 get written. So that's number 3. Disagreement is treason is number 4. And I'd say even Obama had some of that. I would say all American presidents have some of that. And that's a real problem. Disagreement is never treason. It's disagreement. That's all it is. Nothing more.
My mom used to have a bumper sticker that I absolutely loved. It said "Real Americans question authority."
I love it. Oh, that'd be such a great t-shirt. I'm sure it's out there somewhere
Probably.
in 2020.
At least to
I
a
love
point,
that.
right?
I love that. Oh. Okay. Number 5, fear of difference. Check. The first appeal of a fascist or prematurely fascist movement is an appeal against intruders. They're coming up in hordes. They're invading us. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Number 6, appeal to social frustration. One of the most typical features of historical fascism was the appeal to a frustrated middle class, a class suffering from an economic crisis or feelings of political humiliation and frightened by the pressure of lower people below them and their social groups. There's a huge feeling of, if they have equality as well, I will lose them. Like there's not enough to go around. Yes.
Can you repeat number 6 for me again? I'm taking notes.
Appeal to social frustration. Yes. Okay, number 7. The obsession with a plot. Thus, at the root of fascist psychology, there is the obsession with a plot, possibly an international one. The followers must feel besieged. Think about QAnon. Just let that sit. They all feel besieged. They all feel like us against them, and they're trying to save America from child face cutting off and raping children and then eating them groups. That's real. That's real.
In their defense, though, that does sound pretty bad.
It sounds horrible. It sounds like a crazy Rob Zombie movie. It doesn't.
That sounds like worse than like what they say atheists do. You know, I mean, all we do
we
is
just eat babies.
Yeah, we just eat babies.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you barbecue
mine.
just a little bit, but just a little bit of sauce, you know.
Put garlic underneath the skin. Mm.
Yeah.
Sadly, my local maternity ward's on to me. I can't go there anymore.
Oh, what's so funny is there's probably going to be someone who sees this and then goes to the comment section immediately.
Yep. But you know what?
Oh,
Comments.
goodness. Yeah,
Please comment down below. It helps us anyways.
Please
Tell us
do.
how you like to grow your baby.
Yes, please tell us how you like to cook. I slow cook 24 hours, of course.
Number 8.
Number 8. The enemy is both strong and weak.
Say what?
The enemy is both strong and weak.
Oh.
You know, the Mexicans, they're not smart enough for this. They're too dumb for that. They're ignorant, but they're coming to take over. Like, which one is it? I know.
All right. So can I say something on this?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this 3 or 4 weeks ago. My conservative acquaintance that likes to come and shop at the store. Do you remember, Christy?
Yes, I
mentioned
do.
him every now and then.
Yes.
How I was just asking him, like, you know, what's grinding his gears basically, like right now. And one of the big things was China. I'm like, yeah, and you know, they can do a lot of, you know, the stuff that's pissing you off because they're like a superpower. They're like, no, they're not. And he's so worried about China and that their goal is to like take over the world, and that they're a huge threat, but they're not a superpower, and their government's failing just so sorely, like they're crumbling, and they're out to get us, and we're just so close to annihilation.
But they're not a superpower at all.
Right. Maybe we're just both crumbling, but if I asked him that, I'm sure he would disagree. Yeah, so that struck something with me when you said,
the enemy
"Oh
is
shit!" I never noticed like that was like laid out. The enemy is both strong and weak.
Yes, and they will use that same idea of both strong and weak in the same speech. So we'll say all these horrible things that are going to happen, and then later on in the speech talk about how dumb or they're not smart enough, or they didn't do the right thing. It's their fault. Coronavirus is over here. Like the whole world isn't infected. They did something personally to us.
Right. Again, hence China. China's gonna like buy so much of America. China that they're going to take over our country, and that's not good because they're a failing state with a failing government that's just full of socialists and communists, and they're crumbling. We can't let them take us over. They're too much of a threat,
and if you say no, they think that you're on China's, like all of a sudden, well, then you must be communist. China, I cannot like what my country is saying or doing, what the current administration is saying or doing about another country, and still not support that country. Those two things can both be right.
No, that's a state capitalist country, right? That's not a communist country.
No, like their policies are not if a country calls themselves communist but has a one leader at the top, that negates the communist. Now you can North Korea calls itself the democratic, just because it's in your name doesn't mean that it's true. Nazis called themselves socialists. Now there are quotes by Hitler that said, we do not subscribe to the Marxist socialist ideas. Ours is completely sovereign to Germany. He just wanted to use the name. Yes. Mac is my favorite kid in class. So I call him all the time.
I am an atheist, socialist, Republican. I just wanted to point that out.
There you go. See? It can happen.
You can
call yourself whatever you want. Does it make it true?
No.
Okay. Number 8. Nope, we just said that one. Number 9.
That was 8.
Pacifism is trafficking with the enemy. For fascism, there is no struggle for life, but rather life is lived for the struggle. To be a fascist, to be pacifist, when Trump ran, he said he wants to end all foreign wars. He doesn't want to start anymore. He wants to bring all the troops home. That would be more passive. And I like that. And a lot of people who were never going to vote for Hillary said, well, this guy's saying he's going to end the wars. I at least like that. He said he's going to give healthcare to everyone, and it's going to be affordable, and it's going to cover everyone, and he's not going to care about pre-existing. It's going to be way better. There's never been any policy for anything like that. So, I would say that also checks off. Number.
This pacifism is what?
Oh, where did I go? I'm way down here. Pacifism is trafficking with the enemy.
Okay.
Number 10, contempt for the weak. I mean, just immediately bells start going off. Making fun of someone who has disabilities. Calling a woman a fat pig because she has weight issues, I think is horrible. It's abhorrent to me. Not only do I think nobody in leadership should talk like that, our kids in kindergarten are told they can't talk like that it's rude. What, Boo? Losers and suckers. Trump says, they're all losers and suckers. He's tired of America being a loser and a sucker. So Who wants to be strong? That whole, if you're pacifist, you must be with the enemy because we're strong around here. So that's what the last one means. And 11, everybody is educated to become a hero. In fascist ideology, heroism is the norm. This cult of heroism is strictly linked with the cult of death. So I don't know about the cult of death, but heroism, yeah. Trump has his own idea of what makes a hero. If you've been captured, if you're a POW, you're no longer a hero. That whole, you weren't strong enough to fight them off like Rambo. Like, that's not a fictional story. It's so bad. And I'm like, okay, what did you have? Bone spurs or something again? Come on. Come on. Number 12, machismo and weaponry. Machismo implies both disdain for women and intolerance and condemnation of non-standard sexual habits. Gay, trans, bi, asexual, all of these are not normal, and therefore, yes, huge condemnation of them. From coming in and saying, I'm banning all trans humans from serving in the military. And there are trans people that had already been in the military, still had a couple years to go, so now they're just not part of it anymore. That one checks off immediately as well. Number 13, selective populism. Oh, yes. Yes. There is in our future a TV of internet populism in which the emotional response of a selected group of citizens can be presented and accepted as the voice of the people. Right. They are QAnon. They are big time evangelical, not so moral people, but impose their ideology and their morals on everyone else. And those are the people. Uh-oh, I just pushed the button. That was interesting. Oh, I learned something new. Sorry.
Learning something new is scary and
I
bad.
know. I was like, oh. Well, we have our internal chat.
No, the whole thing. I know how to spell it. I missed what you said.
Okay.
All right, so hold
Okay,
on.
for everybody that has no idea,
Yeah.
Mac asked me to type 12 for him. So I typed 1, 2. But he meant number 12.
I'm trying to take notes here. I'm trying to be vigilant,
Yes, you're
listen,
doing what you should.
take notes.
All right.
We each had a blonde moment because I don't know how to spell what she said. 1, 2, she just typed 12.
I know, that's so funny.
These are the people I choose to associate myself with.
I'm like, oh, that's easy. 12.
This wasn't a test.
Stacey's dying right now. She's like, welcome to my life.
This wasn't a test. This was you tutoring me.
Yeah. Oh
Did you
my
spell it
God.
out? You did the numbers?
Yeah, 1, 2.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so good.
That's for it, man.
I'll be here all week.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
All right, and then number 13 is the selective populism.
I got that. I know how to spell both of those words, and I know what they mean.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did actually
Machismo
get
I've
that.
never heard.
Machismo.
That's a new
Machismo would
word.
be like machoism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like
I've never heard it said like that.
Trump is very, very into machismo and being macho and his ego.
That's really interesting to me because I've always. Oh, thank you. I've always thought that macho sounds like nacho, like everyone else. But when you say the whole thing, machismo, it's just it adds to the nacho. It's just like nachos and cheese now. It's
supreme.
Just the nacho machismo supreme. Oh, supreme machismo.
I like it.
Hold on, everyone go on Twitter right now, and I'm gonna start the hashtag for you down here.
Supreme machismo.
Should we go Supremo Machismo?
Why not?
Oh goodness.
Machismo.
Bub's regretting
And
that.
then add us on Twitter at Atheism for Humanism. Or
Oh
atheism.
goodness. Stacey said
Yeah.
BMillzeBub is regretting this right
Oh,
now.
this is so good.
Yes,
Oh
it's very
wow. Primo Machismo.
good.
Wow,
Yeah.
that just made my night. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. That was a great show.
So our number for the night is 12. Oh goodness. So funny. I can't breathe right now.
By far our best hashtag yet. Supreme.
That's almost as funny as me saying live on the show like 2-3 weeks ago that I was watching a program that had black stuff and I was trying to say dark.
Damn
Oh god, I had to mute myself because I could not stop laughing. Like,
oh man.
I was like, wait, that's not right. Black stuff. I promise I care about science. It eluded my brain. Oh god. And our last, try to be serious for a minute, number 14 is Fascism Speaks, Newspeak. All the Nazi or fascist school books made use of an impoverished vocabulary, so dumb it down. And an elementary, let's say, a limit to instruments for complex and critical thinking. So eliminating the critical thinking, taking out civics, which is not really taught anymore as far as everyone has to take this to get this credit. It's not available for much of this country. So yeah, that's been happening.
Yeah.
For a while, it's been happening. Dumbing things down. If you talk to someone who only watches what is it? The Trump watches it. AON, that's where he gets most of his news from these days. It's really bad. Like, save your brain cells and never go there unless you're like me and it's like, well, what's this about? I was like this the whole time. Oh my god. People, this is written like a story, like you're reading the news, and it's just demonstrably untrue. All of it. It's just a simple Google search would give you the first 20 different, options are going to be factual. It's just,
Google's part of the problem, Christy.
well, yeah, the problem of learning, of our information being in our hand, yeah. Where your dad can say something like, prayer works, and you'd be like, actually, Dad, it says here. Actually. Yeah, so I mean, I've had to click off all of those for not just Trump, though. It's been actually some of that, although all 14 I can check off with Trump. A lot of them had to be checked just thinking back to Obama and Bush and Clinton and Bush Sr. More with Bush than his dad, but his dad clicks almost all of them too. And so we've had decades of this. It was just kind of ripe for Trump, someone like Trump, to come in. And I feel like I should say that many on the right, that could go anywhere, me saying that, that they do not think forward. They think of right now. Democrats as well, but more so I see conservatives thinking about what they can get away with now and what's in it for them immediately. Not thinking that by changing the rules in our government, whoever the next leader is also has that new power you just brought. So they've accumulated all these powers, every president gaining a little bit more and a little bit more. I don't feel that our 3 separations of government are equal any longer. And I don't think they have been for a while. And that's really scary. If you look at the RNC and you look at what is it that they are for right now? What are their platforms? What are their ideas? What are their policies? And it literally has, like, I'll paraphrase, whatever Trump wants, we'll follow. We're going to follow whatever he wants. And the Democrats, if you go in, they actually do have these things written. They actually do have policy and things, ideas on there, but almost all of them say, we won't be Trump. We won't do what Trump is. Trump is doing this, so we'll do that. And it's aggravating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were only 14 then.
Yes, there were only 14. Yes, there are only 14. If you guys are not subscribed to act.tv, act.tv, and you can find it on YouTube. You can also go there through Google. You should, because he has great conversations. He's very smart. He has Wolverine behind him. Not saying anything, but yes. So
Never
I like Logan. Logan is my boyfriend. So
I didn't know that.
it's gotten serious. Yeah. Yeah. It's he covers a lot of good stuff, and he went over this list of 14, and I think that it's so important to put them out there. There is an abridged list I wanted to mention. It is available in full at the New York Review of Books, and we have a strong history of opposing authoritarianism, and I'd like to believe that opposition is like an immune system response that kicks in. So that's the reason why they put this out. And I do think that opposing authoritarian is not only a responsible thing to do, it's the only thing we can do right now is to stand up to authority, whether it comes from the left or the right, I don't care. Telling our children or us as citizens, adult citizens, what to think, instead of knowing that we can think for ourselves, which I'm sure there are many adults who just don't know how to research things. They check off their confirmation biases as they look up things. They type in QAnon is true and then read everything that's, instead of debunking QAnon and how QAnon is dangerous, or all the things that would negate QAnon being true. Those are the things that you should look into for every idea that you find. You should look up the dissenting voices, and according to Mac, you should look up Cheetos. You need to draw a little face on it and put a hat on it and just have it walk across.
Should have done that. I mean, Mr. Peanut just died. I should have.
Oh, that's really
Mr.
sad. Of course you would know that.
Like fell off a cliff.
That's the news in Ohio.
I mean, that was like 6 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 6 months ago.
It's still.
No, I have these here. Check this out. I don't know,
Okay, I'll check it out.
Like hot honey.
Oh,
Jeez.
never heard of those.
They're weird, but they're so fucking good.
It kind of sounds like Thai food, how they have the sweet and spicy together. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you guys had Thai food. Yeah.
I dig it.
Me too.
If you don't have some, get some. Thank you.
So I did find a sticker that I thought funny, and I couldn't wait to tell you guys about it. I know you can't really see it on the screen, so I will read it. It's one of those I voted.
For that one too.
You do? Isn't it funny?
Yeah, I took a picture of it.
So
That was
funny.
from Stephen Colbert, right?
Probably. I see the blue and red. Yeah, most.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't confirm that right now. I can only confirm that CBS. But
Yeah,
I voted, but for all of us who do mail-in because of COVID-19 and not wanting to bring it home to our families or get sick ourselves, I have filled out the necessary forms to request an absentee ballot, and I am eagerly awaiting its arrival, at which point I will carefully fill it out and return immediately, so very soon I will have voted.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I love it. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Perfect, actually, because that's where I'm at.
I dare someone to make that a reasonable sized bumper sticker.
That would be so good. And I did want to kind of recommend a book that I started listening to. It's called American Exceptionalism and American Innocence: A People's History of Fake News from the Revolutionary War to the War on Terror. It's fascinating. It's by Roberto Sirvent Servant and Danny. This one's gonna be out. Haiphong. So Haiphong is how I would probably think that was going to be pronounced.
Ivan?
But just type in American Exceptionalism and American Innocence, and it will pop up right there. It's an all blue book, and it looks, blue with the writing on it. Nothing flashy or anything, but I'd say I'm 1/3 into the book, and I'm already learning things. Nothing that will change my mind on anything big, and it's not just confirmation bias as well. It's I'm the machine that is running the information in this country has always been set up against the average person. We are geared in this country to think, well, I'm in the middle class, my mom's in the middle class, but if you look up the numbers of which makes you a middle class, under Trump's administration, he changed the numbers, and $500,000 a year or more makes you middle class. A few $1,000,000 or more each year makes you upper middle class. And I'm just like, okay, that's not cool. And there are many millions of families who are millionaires in this country, absolutely. And there are even more millions who make the $500,000 a year. I say good for you if you're making $500,000 a year. I even say good for you if you're making a couple $1,000,000 a year. I say shame on you if you're making billions a year and you're not, and you still have so many billions. There's so much you could do with that, and you would never still have to try to make sure you have an income. Your billions are going to make millions. Yes, Mac, my favorite student.
Hi, hello, I'm Mac. I have a comment. No, I was thinking about this again today, and I excuse me, I think I've mentioned it before. Pretty sure I mentioned it before because I speak my mind a lot here.
Yeah, I like it.
That I think there should be, I think wealth taxes are good. I think raising the minimum wage is good. But my biggest thing is a wealth cap, right? Once you hit $50 million, fuck man, good for you. You're done. Anything you make after that, goes back into the economy or something. And I mean, we know all of the arguments that go with that. Well, then rich people will just go somewhere else. Well, that's cool because they're not getting their money.
Right. No, I think for that, I think that, let's say $50 million is where we want to put it. So from $50 million, and I believe in a progressive tax scale. So the first $35,000 you make, and if you make $30,000 a year, it's like 8% or 0. I'm okay with that being the bottom. So that would mean billionaires, their first 30,000 gets taxed the same. From 30,001, you go up 1%, just nothing big, to 45,000, and then from $45,001 to 60,000 is another, and it slides, goes up. So
it's a tax bracket.
Or tax bracket,
right?
exactly.
We are familiar with those.
Exactly. I think that to save us from the threat of I'm going to leave if you're going to take all of it, most people will, it's how you word it. So let's say that our top bracket starts at $50 million a year, $50,001 a year, and up, doesn't matter what else it is. Let's tax at 91%. They're still going to make a lot of money that way. We've had 91%. We had it under Eisenhower, a Republican president. I also think that if we did what many other modern countries do, and we do not Like tax havens are no longer allowed. There's no more hiding your money. So you live in a country that you love. You enjoy all the benefits that taxpayers pay for, the bridges, the roads, the schools, all of those things, but you don't want to help. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. No, I'm serious. Get the fuck out of here. We are no longer wanted and part of we're trying to do for everyone. I did want to say I did a little bit more research on like how Trump's going to pay for patriotic education. If you guys didn't know, it's so Trump. It's so Trump. How Trump says
I have a guess then.
Okay, go.
The Mexicans are going to pay for it.
That's
Did
the
I
one.
nail it?
That's the one.
I
Yeah.
nailed it?
Yeah, I like it. What should the roof be? Okay, hold on. We do have a comment in the channel, in the chat. Randolph, what would the roof be? For me, I wouldn't want a roof if we did progressive taxes. I just wouldn't. If someone wants to keep going and make billions, that's great. Every $1 after that 50 million in one is 91%. You'll still make millions. You're fine. You'll make millions off your billions. So you'll be fine. You can invest in that and you'll make even more billions off your billions. You'll be fine. Your billion sitting in a bank and investment account is going to make you millions.
What would the highest percentage be? I'm not sure if
91.
91.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be around
Or
that
51 for 50 million and $1 and up.
Right.
Yeah.
I
believe
the wealth cap myself, even
Yeah,
if we had.
a lot of
I don't
people
think
do.
we need more than 50,
I think in order for us to have a wealth cap, we would have to have progressive taxes implemented in as policy for maybe a decade. So people would feel like, okay, we can do this. And then be like, oh, and by the way, here's the next. I think Americans will riot in the street if you just immediately said, we're not going to let you make any more than this. I do. I feel confident in saying that that's what would happen here.
And how much? You said?
50 million and $1 and up, 91%. So you can make billions a year if you want. You'll still make millions of personal pocket money, which they don't put in their pocket. They hoard and invest. So I don't feel bad for any of them at 91%. I just don't. As long as the first few brackets are all comfortable, that's who I care about. And it's not that I don't care about them. I do. I care about all humans. I just think that, like I always say, the best part of the Bible to me is, you shall be judged. Not that I believe that there's anybody that's going to judge us. I think we are the judgers. And I am confident to say I judge people how they treat the least among us. I do. I think, what a nasty person. What Trump would say about someone asking him a legitimate question. They're a nasty person. I think that about people who are actually nasty to other people. That's very nasty. So, yeah, this is, my opinion. But if you want to know how Trump's going to pay for this.
How? Is it the Mexicans?
Yeah, it's definitely not, but it's just as the Chinese government's involved. That makes you happy.
Oh, China.
It's bad. Okay, how Trump says he's going to pay for his proposed patriotic education is even worse than you think. At a campaign rally in North Carolina, he proclaimed that the money would be diverted from a government brokered deal for the purchase of the Chinese social media platform TikTok. Here's how he described his ultimatum to technology company executives. Quote, "Do me a favor, could you put up $5 billion into a fund for education so we can educate people as to the real history of our country? The real history, not the fake history." End quote. The rationale for the TikTok deal was that, given the Chinese government's lurch back towards strident totalitarianism, TikTok's algorithm poses a threat to the data privacy of American users. So the federal government has been using national security concerns to force a sale of TikTok's operations to a consortium of the American firm Oracle and Walmart, which may still not address the problem. Yeah, and Walmart made Max sneeze. He's definitely allergic to that. Trump has apparently been angling for the US government to get a cut of the deal. US governments can't get a cut of no deal. Like, okay, so I'm gonna read that one more time. Trump has apparently been angling for the US government to get a cut of the deal selling TikTok. Okay. Despite being told by his lawyers and the White House's lawyers that it is illegal for him to get, or the government to get, a cut of this deal. These are private companies. That's not how that works. A government is not for profit. It is to take care of its people and protect its people and provide for its people. We provide the government. Go for it, Mac. Oh, he's so funny.
What did he run as? What did Republicans say that they wanted this president to be? Or like, why would he make a great president? Because he's a great businessman. You need to run this country like a business.
Apparently, you got to have a whole bunch
That's
of
all, Your Honor.
businessman. Oh,
That's something
gosh.
I hate too, because like it's like you said, government isn't supposed to turn a profit. That's not, government provides services and security, not very well, mind
Right.
you, but it's supposed to provide those two things. And if you run it like a business, what you're basically saying is, anybody that's seen History of the World Part 1, when
Yeah.
when they're passing by the Roman Senate, fuck the poor.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yes, it's very, I'd say we have, as a nation, because there are many people that are informed and educated, even if it's just, and when I say educated, I don't mean went through full university and got your, master's and doctorate degrees. I'm not talking, although they are included. Educating yourself and knowing how to do it properly is also included. There are many self-taught, history is their hobby, so they are considered, self-taught historians, but they know everything by the back of their hand. I do feel like in this nation as a whole, we do not understand, nor do we teach classism, and we do have racism. I do feel like racism is a problem, but until we understand how class also, fits into all this, we're going to have problems understanding it. Not liking people because they're poor as a whole is just ignorant. Just as horrible. You're missing out on so much. Money does not make a good human. You can do a lot of good with a lot of money, and I'd like to see more of that, but not having it does not make you a good or bad person. It just doesn't. There's nothing to do with it. Trump has apparently, besides been angling for the US government to get a cut of the deal, he's also trying to get these tech companies to create a multi-billion-dollar fund for education. He wants all of them to put in $5 billion each. He has, which he has now proclaimed will be used for his own pet project, Patriotic Education. This is a corrupt, authoritarian shakedown by the president, an abuse of his power to extort money from private corporations to be used for his own propaganda campaign, because he cannot get it from, he was very disturbed that he couldn't just use the money and like it's his to do what he wants with. And that's not how taxes work. There's a budget and it's all allocated and that's where it goes, and that just really ticks him off.
Look, I support single moms who are strippers, and they need this money more than you do.
That's probably true. Everybody, make sure that you stop by your favorite local strip club and support single moms.
Support them. Like a bra. A good bra, not one of those shitty ones.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm sorry, that was all.
Wear a mask and use hand sanitizer.
Oh, for sure. And wear a mask, because not that you can catch anything from boobies, but they're breathing on you while they're dancing can definitely cause problems.
Hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is the new lube. Hashtag 2020.
Ow!
Yikes.
Burn, baby, burn. Dun-dun-dun. Again.
Oh, how do you explain that when you get to the hospital? Because you'll have to go to the hospital. Well, see, we were trying to be really clean in COVID.
You explain it by stating it's sterile. Do what you have to.
And they'll say, so are you now.
God. Your poor wife.
Oh God. This little section ends with, for all Trump's chest pumping about patriotism and American exceptionalism, this episode of his shows that he neither knows nor cares about what actually makes America's system of government distinctive, or what's failing, what needs help, what needs more funding. Like, he just doesn't understand those things. It's what can I get out of it by helping this, whether it's education or whatever it is. By helping it, what do I get out of it? Is it going to make my base happy? Am I going to get points for this? Or will it make most of the country mad? Well, if it makes most of the country mad, does that include my base? Because that matters to me. And that's aggravating for sure, especially to anybody who has questions and demands there to be, something to back up those answers. I would say that what I said when Mac asked me what my opinion was on him not, giving a flawless, you concede to the next president, pack up your stuff, and you leave. Well,
Peaceful transaction.
I'm sorry?
A peaceful
I didn't hear you.
transition.
Yeah,
Peaceful
transition. There you go. That's the word that I couldn't get out. Yeah, he'd rather have a continuation. I would say that there is a lot of hope that this patriotic education is just bluster. I know that sounds like, well, I don't know. He made a big deal about it. But I do think there is a good chance that it is just bluster to impress. He can say, this is another thing I'm going to do. This is another thing that I have done. This is why you want to choose me. I want to make our children love America with their whole heart, he said. Trump has a history of this kind of culture, of blustering about big ideas that he doesn't follow through with. So he did draft the draft executive order on classical architecture. He wanted all federal buildings to have classical architecture, and he wrote an executive order for it. At least he said he was going to, right? That was announced in February and has not been heard of since.
Repeat that.
Trump wanted wanted to write an executive order, said he was going to write an executive order that all federal buildings had to have classical architecture. I know, because those things are important right now while people are getting kicked out of their houses. So important.
Yeah.
So strange.
Oh yeah.
His National Garden of American Heroes, announced in July, still has no specific site or source or funding. So it should be of no surprise that TikTok's owner, ByteDance, says it has never even heard of this patriotic education initiative and instead plans to work with partners and global shareholders to launch many online classroom projects. So I don't know if I agree with that or disagree. I would have to look more into ByteDance and what they believe in, but since it is in China, I'm sure it would be very supportive of Chinese policies, of Chinese governments, and why shouldn't it be if it's Chinese? Not that I agree with any of that. I think, like Mac and I have said, you should be, as a child, taught how to learn and how to find out truth for yourself. So that he had never heard of it. And then but this still sets a bad example, making a mockery of the limits of presidential power and establishing a precedent for authoritarian top-down control of American education. As with Trump's other trial runs as our national arbiter of taste and ideas, it is also a foolish temporary victory. The power to decide what education is patriotic could soon pass to Joe Biden. And while I'm not sure he will be eager to make use of it, I'm pretty sure President Harris, after that, would love all the new executive authority Donald Trump is scheming to create for her. And not just her, anybody that comes after. If they have this Department of Patriotic Education, they can add or change, or the poor kids will just be so confused about what is or isn't patriotic. And I think that we should just drop that as a nation and maybe take the potential funding that you hope you have coming for it, if it ever comes, put that into smaller classroom sizes, making sure they have air conditioning and heat, making sure they have the textbooks they need, and all that comes with public schools. That's just my opinion. For myself, I would prefer that instead of trying to teach patriotic history or any other ideological flavor of history, we simply teach accurate, factual American history in the confidence that if the story of Americans' past is told truthfully, our country will come out looking pretty good. America's present, on the other hand, is frankly a little embarrassing.
Name America. Teach them about
Fake news.
explosions.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
I'm
gosh.
a real man and I got a big dick. Just don't ask me to prove it.
Of course. Or double D's.
Because you're modest. That's
Oh yeah,
I don't.
I'm
Pull
the
out your
most
pistol.
modest. No one does modesty better than me.
Which negates the modesty. That's a good one. Oh, Doorknob Head says, these ain't your granddad's conservatives unless your granddad lived in Berlin around 1939. Which I don't know why I'm laughing. Doorknob Head always makes me laugh. Very, very funny man. Although that's true and should be very sad for all of us.
Nope, we're gonna laugh about it. Shut up, Christy.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good to see you laugh, Ben. I don't know. What is your personal opinion on BMillzeBub? What is your personal opinion on? Do you think he's blustering with the education, or do you think he'll? I mean, he's only got what 39 days left before the election.
Yeah, I mean, you laid out a pretty good trail of breadcrumbs with, you know, all the shit that he made these big announcements for, and, you know, absolutely nothing came to fruition. You know, I don't know. This is one of those things that, you know, would, at least with his base, have a whole lot of support, and, you know, it really speaks to their kind of love of fascism. But I don't know. The funding probably won't happen ultimately, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's asking them to just hand over, you know, $5 billion each, and they're
Sure.
like, wait a minute, what if we don't agree with the policy? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of what ifs. It's like Mexico's going to pay for it. Nothing ever happened. And many other things, like just the two I mentioned, are big enough announcements. You're saying that everything has to be made classical architecture. And people are like, what? Huh? Like, why is that important right now?
Yeah,
But he
this-
never did anything. So I agree with you. It could go either way, but I feel like it is something to talk about. And I'm glad you wanted to talk about it. I've learned a lot finding out everything that I can about it. However, it may be a bluster. And if the citizens of this nation vote en masse, you know, really just everybody, at least 70% of the nation decides to vote. Citizens, legal citizens, decide to vote. That we would have an overwhelming victory one way or the other. And I do feel like I know by data, there are more registered Democrats and independents than there are Republicans. And we know that many Republicans are going to vote for Biden because he is very conservative, very conservative. That this education we would hear no more of this. This would just be like, remember when crazy ass Trump said he wanted to re-educate everybody? It would just be in the past. But I do think that it's significant enough to have a conversation about, because if Trump was able to become president, that means that we really need to pay attention and never fall asleep on the political debates in this nation, and make sure that our ears to, we're listening to the ideas that are coming out of both parties, whether you agree with either or not, or a third party. I think that it's important to hear what they're all saying. And I would like to call him back again.
Yes, hello. I tried to make that long and dramatic. Thank you, Christy.
You crack me up.
I'm glad. I focused so hard on that hand raise, I forgot what I was going to say.
You just want to be first to raise your hand.
This is awkward.
See, what you need is to like just Nacho in the background should just be ready to push a button and you hear a adrenaline shot. Whenever something like that happens.
Yes, Stacey gave me this little handheld thing for the show. It has all kinds of sounds on it. It has applause. It
Yeah,
has
like all
noises.
soundboard.
And the rim shot.
Got a
You've been holding that out on us?
Yeah, I know.
I gave it to her a while ago. Mac.
I'm lame. It's got a lot. It's got a crowd cheering, not just applaud. Yeah, a lot of different sounds.
Nice.
I don't know how it's going to sound, how it's going to carry over this. So we should probably try it before we go live one day, not just mid-show. Definitely. That's how we would probably do it. Mid-show, just go all in.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is what I think I was going to say, if I can keep a thought longer than 13 seconds. So part of the issue here connects to something that we just always fucking talk about. Surprise, Mac's going to bring it back. That just the political system that we have, right? We have this like extreme right wing right now, right? This is like an evangelical, like hardcore right wing Republican Party that we have. Like Mitch McConnell and his base are the ones who really want to re-educate America to just about Ku Klux Klan like standards. So close. And one, that's disgusting. Yes, whatever. We know that. That's fine. But that's why it's so important to have a real dissenting voice. Just like it's important to have a dissenting voice at school when you're learning about history, right? You need to teach both sides of the history coin. You can't just teach America first. I mean, you can absolutely teach just America first. Who wins the war writes history. But this is why these elections are so important. This is part of the reason why everyone's saying we gotta vote for Biden. We have to like stick together. We need to beat Trump by a landslide so he actually leaves office and we can save the Supreme Court. We could stack the courts, whatever. Like we need to not have a Republican. Christy, say something so they could see it.
I was showing you, but yeah, I can show
Show-
everybody that. Is it
Because
still on there?
this is what I was thinking about.
Yep, there's America's. You know, it should have the rest of those two squares right there as far as political compass goes, but that's, I know it's all
Like,
backwards, but there's left, right, authoritarian, and libertarianism. Because it's backwards,
like
I'll say.
2 or 3 squares down in the green is where Bernie is.
Yeah, no, he's very centrist. And this is for world politics, though. This isn't just judged on the U.S. This is according to world politics, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're very centered.
And honestly, that's not accurate. We don't go that far south.
No, we don't.
Like, look again, we don't. Not even the Libertarian Party does.
No, in this
Like,
blue square, the authoritarian one, which you can't see right now, but the authoritarian one is where Biden is, Trump is, Hillary is, Obama is, and that's the authoritarian right. I'm like, oh God.
It is. It is. We have right, less right.
Yes.
That's what we have. And if we continue on this path, like,
there it is.
Look, like, I'm not just trying to push a leftist agenda. That's not me. I am leftist because I think that is righter.
Right.
It is more correct. It is better, I think. But I don't want to vote for Biden even still, because we still get, on the world scale, a right-wing president. and we don't have a dissenting voice.
That top red one is Trump, and the blue one is Biden, and that's in the authoritarian right. Right. So Biden's just a little more towards, not in, towards libertarian, but he's Buttigieg, Castro, Yang, Klobuchar, Gillibrand, Harris, Delaney, Hickenlooper,
Can you
Paul
send
Ryan.
that? Can you send that to me on
Yes,
Messenger?
I sent one of you on Messenger, and I'll send this one as well.
Yeah. So
I sent it to you too, Ben.
thank you. So the thing I really want to get across here is that because we're talking about education here, right? We need a dissenting voice when we're talking about history and patriotism. Like you need a balance, right? We want that as an atheist community that we are incorporated with.
Mm-hmm.
We want dissenting voices of religion, right? That way you can have discourse, right? Because without that dissenting voice, you don't have that discourse. You can't talk about it, right? If you only have Catholics, Nazarenes, Lutherans, Mormons, like they're all on the right in the religion, like in the religion like spectrum, we'll say, right? So that's where the Overton window is like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different views on religion, but they're all pro-religion and pro-Christianity at this point, right? But so many other people don't understand what other ideas are. They don't understand like down and left, like Hindu or Buddhism, or atheism, right? They don't understand it because we don't have a full discussion. And it's the same thing with history, because we know that history is told like one narrator at a time, right? For example, we call it the Vietnam War. They call it the American War.
Right.
Right? There's just one example, and that can give you a completely different perspective on things. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree at all that Venezuela is bad, and it's just this failing communist state. But if you don't look at anything from Venezuela, you won't understand that Nicolas Maduro is still in power even.
He's still the president, yo.
Right? If we just teach people that America is great, God is good, science just has theories, you're not learning how to think, you're learning how to memorize. And that's dangerous when you're trying to teach someone to learn, because all of those years that we put kids through schooling, it's important because that's when their brain is most able to learn.
It's smooshy,
right? Yeah, it's mushy then. It's mushy, like it's absorbent. It's spongy. And it's so goddamn important to teach them how to think critically, not just how to think. Fuck that. I don't care how you think someone should think. It's just like teaching them something right and something wrong, even to like make them fucking think about it. Like just fucking lie to people, but give them both sides of the lie, right? Like
teach the conflict.
Honestly, teach the conflict, right?
Yes.
It's
I learn the most when I do that. I do. I learn the most about something when I sit down and read all the dissenting ideas about it, and all of the ideas that agree with, all the people that agree with, all their opinions, as well as the citations needed to confirm what I'm reading, the original idea I'm reading about. I just think it's important to take all of that in. For me, I feel like I get balanced.
Yes, balance. And you get that from what Orwell called doublethink, right? Cognitive dissonance.
Yep.
If you don't know what it means, look up cognitive dissonance.
It feels
Right.
awful to have.
It does.
It does.
Like, I mean, I want to think of a good example. A real good example is just, like, God made the earth 6,000 years ago, and the earth is like 4 billion years old. That is an example of cognitive, just like having both ideas in your head, realizing you might agree with both, and like, fuck, what do I do now?
It can't be both. I have to actually read now. Damn it.
Right, and deciding one or the other doesn't mean just talking on the religious like part of it doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It just means like you got to make a decision on like something's right and something's wrong, right? That's the main point. And you teach that to people, probably the best by just making them go through it, right? You don't need to necessarily teach them a method. You just need to give them fucking practice at like fucking with their head a little bit. Like, I'll settle for that. Just
making them question and then teaching them how to go find out the answer. Not telling them the answer. You know, what did you learn from it? What do you think about it? How do you feel about it? What can you prove about it? Teach them how to know what a citation is and why they would demand one in the future from someone else making claims to them. I think that's so important.
Make people think about what they
make them. No, I'm just kidding.
Make them think about what they need. Make kids think about what they need.
Yeah.
To determine whether something is true or not. Right? It's called epistemology.
Yep.
Right? Like the study of truth, I think is what that translates.
Study of knowledge.
Huh?
What is the study of knowledge?
The study of knowledge, right? The study of knowing. Like, figure out what you
not
need.
Hoping, not thinking, knowing. Yeah,
knowing.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is hard.
The easy route is to think or feel. The hard route is to know.
Right. That's why there are so few scientific facts. So few, right? There are a lot more theories, which is about the highest,
It describes all the facts in that theory, is what a theory is. So you have the law and the hypothesis. And the theory encompasses all of those, plus all of the demonstrated evidence. So it has all of that. It's the highest thing a scientific idea can be is a theory.
It's a theory. Yeah, it's a hypothesis that seemingly cannot be knocked down.
Right. Now, it might be in the future.
Right. Yeah, it might be in the future. But right now, no one ain't got nothing on it.
Right. Nothing at all. And I love the, I forgot who said it first, who I heard say it first. Maybe it was Dawkins. Saying, it was to that woman you were talking about. The only thing.
Wendy.
Religion isn't going to, change. Religion didn't find that he was a fraud. Science found that he was a fraud. So you're saying that it isn't real because we had this one fraud, but if it wasn't for science, we wouldn't know that it was a fraud. So I love that. And, if science gets it wrong, it will come out right, because for always scientists are going to try to falsify other scientists' work. That's how you make a name for yourself. That's how you win a Nobel Prize. It's few and far between. So if you could disprove a part of a theory, you could totally make a name for yourself. Go, Matt, go, Matt, go.
Trying to fix my hair for doorknob head. Shut up, you lint licker.
I love doorknob head.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, look, I wanted to bring that point up because how we teach our kids to be patriots or critical thinkers when it comes to politics or religion or just learning in general it molds, the right word is, it molds what our society is and how we function. Sorry. And it really does mold our society, and it's scary. If we change how we teach our children or allow our children to be taught, it really does teach or mold the future of our society, right? This is very similar. And again, look it up. It's not hard. You will see similarities from what Trump is talking about to Hitler's youth, right? And this is how Nazis are made. This is how fascism grows. And
I do find that I get more less pushback, and they stop turning their brain off if I say fascism and not Nazis, because they cannot imagine Trump as a Nazi. He's been made to be this monster that's not even of this world. So because of their propaganda that they have consumed, I did too, as a younger person, their mind is made up that if I say Trump's a Nazi, they're done listening to me.
Right.
So,
but one of Christy's 14 points to look out for fascism was not murder.
Nope.
It wasn't. Right? So take that into account. You don't need to be murdered to be,
I would say.
Say what now?
A lot of dehumanization.
Which makes it easier.
Yes. Yeah. If someone
absolutely.
is no longer a human in your mind, and you can make them sleep on the floor, feed them cold food, not give them medical attention.
Lay in their own piss.
Right. At some point, what's the difference besides, putting them out of their misery or just never feeding them again?
Yeah. Dehumanize them. It's easier. So, honestly, if you go back to the 1800s and before, when they dehumanized slaves more, to put them down was like putting down an animal. That's not considered murder.
Oh, I know.
It's not, right? They didn't say that, someone murdered a black man or a slave. No, you just.
Oh no, that didn't.
You would put down a slave. That's what it would be, and luckily, we describe that as morally apprehensible. It's disgusting, but back then it wasn't, and slavery is not the only example we have. No. Right? The Nazis really didn't look at the Jewish people as humans, or they were just much lesser humans that didn't deserve to live.
They had bad genes, and the Nazis had good genes. Yeah. Whatever that.
So that's one reason why I hate patriotism and nationalism overall, is because if you lift yourself up, you're obviously above someone else.
Yes. Supremacy of any type.
So just on the base, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. Gets too close to fascism. Leads to it too fast.
Yeah, I feel the same about supremacy. What about you, BMillzeBub? How you feel about supremacy of any type?
Oh, generally it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I was bullied a lot when I was going to school. Either I didn't have good fashion. I didn't. I wore sweatpants until like 5th grade.
You're rocking that beard right now.
I was a scrawny kid. Now I'm a 245-pound giant. So back then, when it was easy to beat on me, it happened pretty frequently, and the people that didn't feel bad about it at all, because I'm below them and who fucking cares?
Right.
Now those fights happen a lot less
Yeah.
for some reason because I'm big imposing
They're like
threat
an
now.
oak tree now. He's gonna come up and tell you something. I gotta like climb up there. Climb down. Yes, I feel the same. To me, I really didn't have to do much research, although I did. Supremacy of any type to me is abhorrent. Of any type. White supremacy, Jewish supremacy. I don't like Zionism in its current state. The original meaning of the word, okay, I get it. I don't have a problem with it. Anybody being better than someone else because of their nationality, their ethnicity, the color of their skin, their religion they have, who they love, I just find it abhorrent. I cringe at it. I'd say that talking to someone who has those ideas is the one time I know I'm not going to be able to use any of the tools I have been able to learn to use over the last 2 to 3 years. They're out the window. It's really hard. I cannot Anthony Magnabosco my way out. I cannot street epistemology my way out of talking to someone who has those ideas. That's the hardest for me to talk to because I just want to scream, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's just, you don't see that being a problem, that you think you're better because you didn't choose how you were born. You didn't choose what country you were born in. You know, I have a tank top that says the GPS location of your mother's vagina on the day you were born does not mean anything. It just doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. You're actually fortunate to be born in a first world country. And now you can actually do things to make your country better. But you have to still be involved. It's unfortunate if you're born in Sudan or Yemen. It's just unfortunate. And I think that is a huge problem. And I know many people, just Facebook or extended family, or even probably many, direct lineage family that think that some supremacy is okay. Go, Matt.
Nacho posted a link for us.
Yay.
I think it is relevant. And I have spoken against like any kind of tribalism, nationalism, patriotism. Tribalism is the main thing, and I think this is what this quote is talking about. It's by Jaddu Krishnamurti, I think is how you say it. When you call yourself an Indian or a Muslim or a Christian or a European or anything else, you are being violent. Do you see why it is violent? Because you are separating yourself from the rest of mankind. When you separate yourself by belief, by nationality, by tradition, it breeds violence. So a man who is seeking to understand violence does not belong to any country, to any religion, to any political party or partial system. He is concerned with the total understanding of mankind. And I agree with that.
Except for the violent part. I think that just from having so many conversations lately with more right-leaning people, they really hate that the left, I agree that it should be seen like that. That maybe not wording it like that, but you're a human and I'm a human. There's no difference. There's no difference. So teach me about the things you grew up in and tell me about them. Let me experience that with you, and I'll tell you how things were here, and we can be two people describing about the world we were born into. We had no choice over it. We had no decisions to make. We couldn't choose something different. It's how it is. There is no difference between us. And the closer and faster we can get to that, I agree.
Right.
Saying, hey, I am an ex-Muslim and I agree with this leader I don't think is necessarily violence. I think that it immediately puts you into a group, and if you're trying to not do that and you're trying to find solidarity within your brothers and sisters on this planet and everyone in between, I think that it's better to, I'm a human, and
Yeah. I think it helps breed violence, right? And not all violence is physical violence.
yeah,
right?
tribalism.
Yeah, it's tribalism, and to a point, sportsmanship is good,
I agree.
right? Competition can be good and healthy if you practice good sportsmanship with it.
Right.
But that's not what we do outside of sports most of the time. And that's just part of the problem. I don't want to go too far into that. But if we lose that understanding or don't foster that understanding, we're going to have more issues. We're going to have more 2020s on the way. And I sincerely hope that we don't. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Ben,
Your turn.
what you thinking? What you thinking?
Away.
We're just putting you on the spot. It's like whatever.
We're not
Yeah.
silly or anything.
That happens.
We're pretty silly. I was lying. We're very silly. And today we don't mean to be, but that's not true.
And I'm pretty sure every live stream I've done, except for maybe one with Leah, has turned silly. And the only one that didn't turn silly is because it was such a sour conversation.
Right.
You know, and for anyone in the audience that's curious, I came on for an episode and talked about what military police response
Mm-hmm.
is for us. So it was like considering my training and some of the things I had to watch for that training, it was a little difficult to be silly. So.
Right. Well, yeah. And BMillzeBub would know he is a veteran. So he's our local skeptic community veteran. And I like the perspective that BMillzeBub brings. I love when you send me a message saying this, like this, what the fuck? Like, I don't even, I'm sure you want to know about this, and I do. I appreciate it a lot, especially if like I'm not even there yet. I'm trying to catch up on it. I dropped everything. I was like, what? Wait, no, there will be no re-education in this country. Like, that is way too far. We've already passed too far, and like, what are you doing? We passed all that. We're like way over there. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't wait to have you on. And we already had, it was Friday, right? And I was like, shit, no, it was Thursday. And we already had the next Friday already, booked, which was last Friday. So yeah, I knew that I couldn't wait. Like, okay, it's going to be, I can't wait. But I actually liked that it was a whole week because I got to really dig into it instead of just giving my opinion, as wonderful as that might be. Oh, goodness. I was trying to write my dad's name in chat and I hit send on accident. I just wanted to say, love you, Pops. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I sent him a link to make sure he showed up today.
Yay.
I didn't see him in the chat early enough, so I got worried.
Oh no. Yeah, he's actually been he had to go down south and handle some family stuff, like his father's paperwork and stuff like that. He lost his dad, my grandpa, a while ago, so he just had to handle some family business. But he did let me know, I'm not gonna be there, I'm traveling, I'm sorry.
Oh,
but he just got in, and the first message I got from him was, I just got in, I'll be able to catch it. Yeah, that's awesome. Everybody should have a parent that totally supports them and loves to have conversations with them. I think that that's important. And thanks, Dad. Good for that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Mac has me.
Have what now? You?
Yeah, me.
I got you.
Stacy said I should use the clap. That's not the clap, you goofball. There we go.
Damn it.
The clapping
Oh,
sounds
I
more
should
like
invite-
the clapping doesn't sound so much like clapping so much
Right.
as banging two empty heads of coconuts together.
Yes, I was gonna say our two wooden clogs.
Chat, name the
Horses
movie I
running
just
down a
referenced.
cobblestone road. Why?
Do that one.
Why do you want me to do that one?
Do it.
Do it. Oh gosh, I should never ever have this thing. Should never be in my hand. So funny. All right, Mac, what are you writing? Share it with the class.
What am I? I'm not doing nothing. I was just getting ready for the end of the show. We've been going for about 2 hours now, and
Yeah.
which is awesome. It's a good good run. I wanted to share our Patreon link real quick. But, having a hard time pulling up on the computer and not my phone. My phone's not working out for me. So I'm going to do the smart thing and use the link we have down here in our doodly do. So
You were gonna say that.
yeah.
I giggled before you said it because I just knew you were gonna say it.
All right, so there we go. There's our Patreon account. Why am I pointing out? Because we have some Patreons. Which I'm trying to grab. Christy, talk while I pull things up.
Yay! Da 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 da.
I didn't say dance. I didn't say that.
It's entertaining.
I said talk, not sing.
She didn't just sing, she danced too. There you go.
You get dinner and a show.
Well, you have to provide your own dinner, so I don't know about that. Can't mail it to you. Okay. I guess on the to the end of that, I would say that I want to leave you with not completely like the knot in your stomach. Nobody deserves that. I guess I would say there is hope because I do feel like it was mainly a bluster by somebody who blusters constantly. And so that's demonstrable that that's what he does a lot, especially claiming that he's going to write an executive order for something. There's been so many times throughout these 4 years that he said that and never followed through. Not just the two I read about and the one BMillzeBub brought up, but many. And, look them up yourself so that you're armed with that information if someone asks. And you can let them know that, if they bring up this, oh God, he wants to do this re-education, and it's just, I don't want that to happen to my kids. Just tell them to take a breath. Let's look up how many he has claimed that he was going to make and never followed through. Also with his not going to leave, respectfully, if he is not the president any longer, I feel like that's very right on flavor for Trump. That's him all the way. He would never admit to, yes, I would. Like, that's never gonna happen. He is an asshole a lot, and I think he knows that. And since he doesn't have that type of education in his head where he can explain a policy out or wants to sit down and hear the information at the beginning of each day that is, his what are they called? The information, they work in information. I can't think of the name right now. I just can't think of it. Every morning, every president before him, you sit down and we're gonna go over all of this the last 24 hours. You're the president. You're in charge of all this. At least the face of all this. So you need to know it when you go and talk to people. That's not him. I think it's very, very Trump to say what he said and to not worry about that either. But I do think that he would not want that to happen, and that he would rather just not be interviewed for a couple days and then come out, as a martyr, and all these things happened to him, and he did a fight, and he was going to want to keep his base as his base, even though he's not president. He'll be called president for the rest of his life. You guys know this, right? He will be called the President Trump, for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's also will be called the impeached president, because I actually had someone say to me not too long ago, in a couple weeks, that he wasn't impeached. I'm like, yeah, he was. He was impeached. He is an impeached president. He just wasn't removed. And didn't understand, and I explained what happened to Clinton is exactly what happened to Trump. He was impeached and he wasn't removed. It happens. And that doesn't mean or negate his impeachment. I was very listen, no, he was impeached. He was. I watched it. It might have been a sham, and I believe most of it was. However, he's still impeached, and they are very entertainment like. And I did have someone from another nation tell me that American politics are very like tabloid stories. They want to see what's going to happen next to who, and who's throwing who under the bus. And I'm just like, really? That's how you guys see us? Yeah. So there's that. You get to laugh a little bit. And then I want to say at the end of a Seth Andrews video, which I known on occasion to listen to a lot, but not so much recently, but a lot. He had something come across the screen, and I thought was so beautiful. So I do want to say it comes from one of Seth's videos. Do not allow or perpetuate the further stigmatization of non-religious people. We've been told that we need religion to survive, but in actuality, it's now the opposite. In the modern world, religion hasn't saved the destitute, nor has atheism condemned the prosperous. And I like that. I think that there's a space for people who just want to be the best them they are, even if they're religious or not religious, spiritual, or whatever they might believe. It doesn't guide their decisions in life. Their skepticism and everything else does. I think that you're definitely welcome here if those are your beliefs, and if you ever want to talk about them, that would be awesome. And if you don't, that's awesome. If we have the same ideas in mind, especially for the people of this nation, that local, just your town, all of these things you would like to see happen to better you and the people around you, or this nation included. I think that until we start seeing each other as that's a human who wants the same things that I want, we're not ever going to get there. So I do want to say that you are welcome here. And let's talk about all these hard things together. Even if you believe that there's a teapot going around the sun every day, or a spaghetti monster, I say ramen. That's all I got.
That was good. Thank you for bringing that back around the sun. All right. Extra special thank you this week.
Yes.
To Smitty, to Carlos, Stacy, Chet, Robert X, and Brantley, our long patron. To all of our patrons, thank you so much for supporting the show. We appreciate it. Also, thank you everyone who just comes to watch every Friday night and over the weekend, who come and watch and share the link. Give us a like. It really helps our channel. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Ben, for coming on tonight. BMillzeBub. Very nice to have you.
Yes, always. Always.
I'm just
Yeah.
glad that this is a topic you guys decided to discuss.
Yeah, you knew I wouldn't be able to say no, though. So you're like,
I did. I went for the weak link in the chain there, but
I was like, oh, yes. Okay, I do like that I was able to learn a whole bunch, though, before we went on. And I did talk myself down by the more looking into, the more reading I did. I was like, okay, yeah, I have to agree. It's most are blessed for us. And if you wanted to share any of your information, where people can find you, what times you do shows, any of that,
please.
share it with the class.
I haven't really been doing too much lately, but let me bring up my thing. I've got a notepad on my computer where I keep all this stuff, and for some reason my computer decided to close it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's great.
They do that, don't they?
Open any day now. That'd be super helpful if my computer weren't slow.
Okay, well, do you just want to share final thoughts about anything that we talked about tonight while it's loading? So it can take its time and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely be on the lookout for, not losing your mind too much when something like this happens. I just posted a link in the chat, by the way, to my YouTube page where you can find, my videos. Sadly, it's been neglected lately, but
Yeah, you have good conversations on there.
kind of stressful. But yeah, I mean, I kind of had a knee-jerk thing too, where I was like, oh, what the fuck, no. And I mean, it was mostly over the course of this discussion, but I was in the beginnings of coming around to realizing, you know what, Trump's just a blowhard and this probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, it helps me sleep better at night.
Yeah. So just bear in mind when Trump says he wants to do some big, crazy, grand thing, he's probably just being his usual blowhard self.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Try not to panic too much.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure that you just have one always rolled. That's your emergency. Who knows? That's your China invading joint.
Right.
When something equivalent in your mind, you just take it down. Or just know exactly what BMillzeBub said, that he is a blowhard. We have evidence of it, so we can turn back to it.
We do. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Another awesome Friday night. This was a really fun show. It was another long one, but it was great. It was fun.
I laughed a lot.
That Ben got to join us again. Don't forget about Not Shall Witness, our man behind the scenes from a place that may or may not exist.
Mm-hmm.
I linked his channel right here in the chat, and it's also linked down below in the doodly-doo. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We all hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And
right before, we have a Discord. Brant put the link in the chat. Sign up for our Discord. So how about, this is the real quick story. I had mentioned that it would be so cool to have a Discord, and within the hour, I was sent by MathPig, here's a link to your new Discord. That he had already made it for Holy Kool-Aid, and Holy Kool-Aid already had one or didn't want the second one or whatever it was. So it's just an extra one at this point, and changed the owners to Mac, Nacha, and me. And Nacha is already there. There's many people that are already there. One of our Patreons, Carlos, is already there. So it's in the chat, and it would be really cool to have a link to the community, and you don't have to wait till Friday. If you needed to talk or wanted to laugh, there's a lot of fun. And you can always mute it. There's an option to mute for 8 hours because sometimes people just need to talk and you don't want to be bothered. So there's lots of cool options on it. The only thing that's missing is Mac. And you guys should.
Yes, that's true. I am still missing. I just tried to log in and I don't remember my password. Sorry, y'all.
Oh no. Well, we'll work on that. We'll work on Mac. Until then, you guys stay humanists for Godless sakes.
Damn it. Yes.